Welcome to the IT Career Energizer podcast. For anyone who wants to build and grow a career in IT, develop and improve your strengths and skills, be inspired and motivated by the successes of others, manage your career progression, and achieve your IT career goals. And now, your host, Phil Burgess.
Welcome to episode 309 of the IT Career Energizer podcast. My guest on today's show is an author, a speaker, and an advisor to startups. He has co-founded a variety of companies, including Hypermart.net, WebIPO and BizEquity. And his books include Artificial Intelligence Basics, a Non-Technical Introduction, and the Robotic Process Automation Handbook, a guide to implementing RPA systems. So it's my pleasure to welcome to the podcast, Tom Taulli.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Tom, that's obviously very much an overview of who you are and what you do, but maybe you could give us a bit of an understanding of your background in tech.
Yeah, my background in tech goes to the early 1980s, and I started programming when I was a freshman in high school. And my dad bought me a computer and put it on my desk and left my room. And that was his way of saying, you figure it out on your own. And kids have a lot of time on their hands. So I did. And I learned how to program BASIC and then Pascal. Those are the two intro languages at the time. So with these languages, I developed my first programs. And during that era, there were these computer magazines that would publish articles about applications, and the code would be in the articles themselves. So people would actually type them. So I started publishing my programs when I was in high school and just fell in love with it. And then once I got into college, the funny thing is I took business courses because I thought, why do I need to learn about programming since I already know how to do that? And it was during that time that I got the entrepreneurial itch and realized I'm not really the person to do a 9-to-5 job. So I started my first business, which was it was Windows software to help students learn how to pass different exams. And it just went from there. And in terms of my writing, that happened during the mid-90s with WebIPO. I would write analyst reports about IPOs on my website. And we sold the company. And then once that happened, Forbes.com said, "Where are your articles?" And I said, "Well, I'm not doing it anymore." And they said, "Well, do you want to write them for us?" And I said, "Sure." And that's how I got started with that.
Right. Okay. And you've written obviously from different sites. I think you've been on Forbes, for example.
Yeah, Forbes, Business Week. The funny thing is my writing started on .com platforms, not printed platforms. So, and at that time, that was considered low class, right? low, kind of the lower part of the totem pole of writing. So if I wanted to interview somebody for an article, and I said, they'll go, "Well, do you write for the online or the printed?" And I said online, they usually wouldn't be interested in talking to me.
Yeah. I'm sure it's very different now.
Exactly, because there are no printed publications anymore. So exactly, by default, online is the way to go today.
Precisely.
But it's funny, 20 years ago is a whole different story.
It is. It's amazing how things have changed, isn't it? Anyway, right. So, Tom, can you give us a career tip, one that the audience may not be aware of and perhaps should be?
I think for me, and someone the other day looked at my career and he says, that's a very non-linear career. And I said, it's very true, because I'm not someone to say I want to be at this point 20 years from now. I'm just more into the moment I'm interested in doing something like this today. I'm really excited about it. I think it's be cool. So that's when I started my first business. I thought, the way I approached it is, at that time, students were bringing their laptops into the classroom. And I thought, well, it seems like a lot of students have computers. And now they're just kind of messing around in class with it and not learning. But I thought at some point they're going to need to pass an exam. So I thought maybe I should write software for that. And I did, and it turned out to be a success. So I think for me, it's not about setting these lofty goals, but about doing what you really want to do, you're passionate about, and doing it. Like if it's in your head and you can't get it out of your head, then find a way to make that happen. And that might be, it might be a crazy career, but for me, it's worked out.
Yeah, that's interesting to hear. So, do you find you have a lot of ideas and then you act on some but not
Mm.
others?
I've never had writer's block. I've never had idea block. The problem is I have like too many ideas, and put it this way: ideas are a dime a dozen. Um, it's the execution on that idea.
It
You know
is.
exactly. So uh, you know, um, so it's about doing something about it. Um, I know there's probably lots of people said, "Well, I had that idea, and well, I came up with that idea too," and then the other sentence was, "Well, I probably should have done something about it."
Precisely.
So, yeah, I actually have a file on my computer, my idea file, just to check it once in a while. But I think for me, I'm just kind of I try to learn a lot of things in different areas, and ideas just somehow emerge from that.
Yeah, it's a good idea to keep a list of ideas, definitely, and often to sit on them for a little while and go back, and then just to reassess them and say, is that really a good idea or not? And if it is,
Yeah,
then maybe that's the time to act on it.
exactly. And I think sometimes try to find validations for the idea. Like I said, when I started, yeah, I had no idea how to start a business, or at that time there wasn't Y Combinator or anything like that. But my validation was I just saw in the classroom, in my classroom that I was at, students bringing in their computers,
Yeah.
and they're using it throughout the whole class. They're like I said, I think they're acting like they were taking notes from the teacher, but they're probably doing other things. But still, they had
I suppose these
computers.
days you can record it as well. You don't just have to take notes. So there's so many things you can do.
Well,
Yeah.
you don't have to go to the class; it's all online. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Can you share with us your worst career moment and what you learned from that experience?
Worst career moments? That's a good question. Um, it would be going against my first role, and that is not taking the leap. There were points, and where there were these kind of crossroads where should I go this way or should I go that way? And I also think the older you get, the the less the more risk averse you get. So probably I was probably more productive when I was younger than I am now, and part of that is just I got experience, and then I overthink these overthink these things, and then I convince myself not to do it. And I think you need to somehow try to create that blank slate and say, you know what, that's not the way to go. You know, sometimes you have to take out all the clutter and say, okay, let's make a move here. And I think that's probably where there were some points where I had, like, we're talking about these ideas, like I had one certain ideas that really were great ideas and the timing was right, but either someone convinced me not to do it or I convinced myself to stay away. I would say that's
Yeah.
uh,
Okay. Fair enough. And in terms of maybe flipping that into a career highlight, what do you think is your career highlight so far?
the biggest one.
Yeah.
Like, it would. You mentioned the hypermart. That was clearly the biggest one because the timing was perfect. We were addressing a need. We had the right team. Um,
Yeah. Could you give us maybe a bit of an insight into what Hypermart was and what you did?
yeah. If you're familiar with something like Shopify, think of it as a very crude version of a 1996 or 7 version of Shopify. So you could go to the website and register for a domain name using some very rudimentary tools. I mean, in those days, uploading a JPEG could take you 30 minutes.
Yes.
So, this is a different world. But you could go there and create your own website. Um, and then we had a model where, it's free if we put advertising on your website, and you pay us a monthly fee if you don't. Um, and at that time, there's so many people wanted to create their own websites.
Yep.
And there were other companies doing that too, like GeoCities and the Globe. So we were kind of in that category. And the timing was perfect. I mean, we did no marketing, and just people signed up all day long, 24 hours a day, all around the world. We had no idea how they were coming to us. I mean, just there was just so much demand for it, and it grew to the point where, either we raise money, or we sell it, and we sold it to a company called GoToNet, which became InfoSpace, and that was perfect timing because we sold it in early 1999, and that's really when things took off.
Indeed.
Yeah. So that's probably the highlight.
Yes.
Yeah, it's probably the highlight.
Yeah. Okay. And in terms of the future, what excites you about the future of the IT industry? And obviously things that are coming up. I know, obviously, we touched on the fact you've written a book about robotic process automation. So presumably that's something you have a definite interest in.
Yeah, if you go to my Forbes.com columns, and whatever I'm writing about, that's a good idea of what I'm interested in. They provide me a lot of leeway in terms of what topics I can cover. So RPA, robotic process automation, is one of those. I've written a book on artificial intelligence, and that's another category. I'm curious about quantum computing. I've done a couple articles on that, talked to some people in the industry. Um, um, the other thing I'm actually interested in is mainframe computers, which may seem a little odd, but it's actually showing a lot of growth. And these big companies that have mainframe computers, need to transform themselves, and they're doing things that they weren't doing just a few years ago in terms of changes and rethinking the way they look at their business. So yeah, there is no lack of opportunities in this area. More of it is just trying to focus on. As you can tell, I look at a lot of things, but from a career standpoint, and sometimes I think it's about being a little contrarian. If everyone's telling you to be a Python programmer, you know, that might be the best thing in the world for you, but go to YouTube and check out some of the courses and just see if that's interesting. It may not be. It may not be what you want to do. So just because everyone says that's what you got to do, doesn't mean that's the key. And because, like I said, mainframe computing, there are so many opportunities there, and it's a neglected area. So someone who wants to get an IT, you have probably a better chance of breaking in and being actually successful, versus, say, being on just yet I don't want to say Python is not useful, but there are a lot of people that know Python.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I mean, there's opportunity for everybody, obviously, within that area. But you're right. There are certain areas which may have been neglected, that people could potentially do very well in. And of course, there's obviously the emerging technologies. Obviously, we touched on RPA as well, and I believe, I mean, there's a lot of reports about that being a huge
Hmm.
potential for growth.
Absolutely, absolutely. And in fact, LinkedIn has its 20. They have their annual survey of the highest growth career opportunities available. The first one is AI. Basically, data scientists are good data scientists are just highly in demand. I mean, and they'll make a lot of money. But it's a lot of education. It's not easy becoming a data scientist. Number two is RPA, an RPA developer. That's the number two growth area for careers in IT. And actually, RPA is a little easier. And it's more convenient to learn because, I mean, it's more structured. AI can go all over the map. I mean, there's just so much, and it's constantly changing. RPA is, it's about, using these tools like UiPath and Automation Anywhere to automate tedious and repetitive processes. The nice thing is that you can go to their website and download the software for free. Uh, look at their videos and learn. And by the end of the day, you'll have created your first bot. I mean, it's not that hard. Now, if you want to get sophisticated, you can go through their certifications. Once you have that, you become very marketable. So that's definitely a great career opportunity.
It is. It is. I'd love to do an episode just on RPA. I think it would be very interesting to discuss it and what the opportunities are. But as you say, it's very much about automating the manual, repetitive activities, isn't it? And sort of removing those, if you like, from people who can potentially do more productive work.
Right, right. It frees up a lot more time and hours for people to use their brains for things other than cut and paste.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, if you want to spend your time, days, working hours, cutting and pasting and things like that, I mean, most people don't. So it means that you can use your brain for better things on your job. So that's what RPA allows. Now, the reason companies love RPA is that it's it's a lot easier than other forms of automation to implement and to get ROI. Is basically, you don't have to install like this really sophisticated platform to start getting results. It's just designed to take what you already have and just streamline it better.
Yeah. Good. Okay. We're going to go into the reveal round now. We're going to
Hmm.
find out a little bit more about you and the way you think. You ready for
Hmm.
this?
Yeah, sure.
So, what first attracted you to a career in IT?
Well, like I said, it was when I was in high school, and it was. I mean, I was a young boy, and I thought computers were cool,
Yep.
um, and fun, and I could. In a way, it's like writing. You start with a blank screen, and then you type a command, like print "Hello World," and then presto, something prints on your screen. It's kind of
Yes.
exciting when you're a kid. And then you start really learning, if then statements and loops and all those kinds of things. And before you know it, I've created my first game. And so I could just spend hours and hours just doing that. The other thing was, I live in Southern California. I was living in Southern California at the time, next to Caltech. And we had this computer club, and my dad would bring me to that. And it was the biggest users group in the 80s, probably in the United States. We had a lot of CPAs and accountants and things like that, that use software like spreadsheets and word processors. And since we were so influential, we had people like Bill Gates. So in the early '80s, I got to meet Bill Gates, Peter Norton, Philippe Kahn, pretty much all the pioneers in computers. And so I just was really excited, and that just added to the excitement. Saying, I looked at my dad and said, "That's what I want to do when I grow up." So it's never ended. So,
What is the best career advice you've ever received?
well, I actually got career advice from Bill Gates at that meeting. He said, I said, what do I need to be a success in developing? And he says, you should just take some, um, you know, courses like on trigonometry and, get a good background in math, and then just start programming. That was it. Just start programming and try stuff out and learn on your own. And that's,
Yes.
and I thought, oh, okay. And I thought, well, I'm kind of already doing that because I'm in high school and I've taken trigonometry, and I've kind of already been doing it on my own. It's kind of more verification from this big guy called Bill Gates at Microsoft from Seattle. Maybe I'm on the right track. So, and that was great advice. So,
Yeah.
and I think the other thing too is that, we always think that you need to go through certain hurdles or certain paths to get where you want. Sometimes there are faster ways of getting there, unconventional ways of getting there. So just don't always accept that this is the only way to do something. It's not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very true. What is the worst career advice you've ever received?
Oh boy. Yeah, I'm really, my parents were great because they basically said, just do what you want to do. So
Yep.
they weren't the parents that said, well, you got to go to law school, you have to, finish college or whatever. I mean, all the typical stuff that a lot of parents will tell their kids, which is probably good advice, but still, um, For me, it wasn't great advice because I just wasn't wired that way. And I think they just encouraged that and they were fine with that.
Okay.
In terms of just,
Good.
bad advice, you know, uh, for careers, I mean, I wouldn't say I know someone in particular, or someone that, stands out as telling me something that was just really bad advice. Um, but um, I think what happens is I don't think in fact, I don't think there's really bad advice. I think it's more about that's advice that just doesn't fit that person.
Yes. No, you could be right. Yeah.
So, you know what? Going to college and getting and I did get my 4-year degree, by the way. But, Bill Gates didn't get his 4-year degree. But you know what? As general career advice, it wasn't good advice. I mean, obviously it didn't work for him because he became a billionaire and highly, he didn't have to go to college. But most people probably do need college to have a good career, you know? So that's probably really good advice, but for him it wasn't. So I don't think people go out there and just intentionally, say, "Oh, I'm going to give some really bad advice here." I'll always listen, but then I'll say, "Yeah, that's just not for me." Yeah, but I wouldn't say it's bad advice. Yeah,
If you were to begin your career again in today's world, what would you do?
if I were back in like a college again,
Yeah.
oh, I would go to Silicon Valley and uh, meet as many people as I can in technology. Everybody, venture capitalists, programmers, marketing people, salespeople, just soak it up and start a business.
Yes. I mean, presumably you can do that to a certain extent online now. You can contact these people, you can, engage with them, watch videos, whatever it might be.
Totally agree with that. But you know what? I found that you know social interaction goes a long way.
It does. It does. And I think we've missed out, haven't we, on the last 18 months or so.
Yeah. So I'm an advisor to some companies, and we've been out of office for a long time. In the last few weeks, we've come back to the office, and I'm thinking, wow. I knew there were times when we had meetings that just went way too long or were a waste of time and things like that. But boy, we really did miss out on some. Just walking, at lunchtime and walking to the place to eat, sitting down to eat. We probably accomplished more in that hour than we did probably in a lot of weeks that we were out of the office.
It's possible,
I
yes.
mean, I I mean, it's just now we have uh an actual A/B testing of this, um, and I actually think we're probably going to. I actually believe this hybrid approach probably makes sense, but I don't think the 100% virtual approach makes sense to me either. Um, I mean, I don't think people have to be in the office all day long and every day, 5 days a week. But I do think there has to be some of that because I do think you do lose some of that creativity, give and take, and the other thing about you know if you want to become a Hollywood writer, you got to go to Hollywood. I mean, if you if you want to be a tech entrepreneur, you got to go to. Doesn't mean maybe you go there forever, but you really got to go. I mean, it shows one that you're committed to it. Two, that just you start to understand the culture. You understand kind of the way things work there, and it's actually so much faster to learn that as opposed to trying to do that online or away from it.
Yes, that's true.
So yeah,
Yeah. And what career objectives are you currently focusing on?
yeah. Right now I'm working on a book on the mainframe book, so I'm almost done with that. I'm also doing courses on mainframe. So this tells you about my nonlinear path. Why how I would somehow wind up in mainframe in 2021 is probably unexpected, and most people I talk to kind of shake their head. But that's kind of my focus right now, and I do think there's entrepreneurial opportunities in that category as well. So That's something I'm thinking about. I don't necessarily have an idea at this point or something solid enough, but that's a main focus for me right now.
Yes. Yeah. And what's the number one non-technical skill that has helped you in your career so far?
Non-technical skill. I would say that uh, I took some law. Well, my business background in college was very helpful. So I took courses on law. I took courses on how to read a balance sheet and an income statement. It's you know it's technical in the sense of business technical, but it's not technical in the sense of IT. So that that has proven. I mean, if I had taken just a bunch of computer classes, it probably would have been mostly a waste of time for me. Taking those business courses were extremely valuable. So those skills I learned from college were really helped me out. Really helped me out.
And what do you do to keep your career energized?
You know, I well, I like to walk. I like to go to the gym. I don't want to be sitting down all day in front of a computer, although there are times when I do that. So I just try to take breaks, and when we used to travel a lot, I want to start traveling again as things get back to normal. I think that's fun for me. So I try to get away from it, and also I think if you just spend way too much time on something, you do lose your effectiveness. So I try to do other activities that are just has nothing to do with.
Good. Okay. And Tom, can you share with us a parting piece of career advice?
Parting, I think going back to what I said earlier, and I think is the most important. I think that the thing that has always worked for me is, just focus on, if you wake up in the morning and that's what you want to do, and you can't almost can't wait to start doing that. And that was always computers with me. I mean, when I was a kid, I just wake up at night and all of a sudden I get inspiration for some coding. I thought, well, I can't sleep right now. I gotta do that right now. So I just go to my computer and start coding, and then then I go, I'm working on a program right now, and I don't even really want to eat breakfast. I mean, I just want to figure this out because I'm on a roll, and if you have that excitement, you'll go far. You will go far. It's not easy to find that, but you usually kind of know what you like, and you usually definitely know what you don't like. And if you're just you're gonna be spending most of your time, most of your life on your career. It's not gonna be, with family or you're gonna be spending a lot of time in your career. And if it's something you don't like, even though it makes you a lot of money or you get prestige, I don't think it's worth it at all.
Yep. And Tom, where can we find out more about you and connect with you?
So I'm on Twitter at TTAULLI. I do have my own website at TOMTAULLI.com. If you want to reach me on my website, there's a contact form, and you can just, if you have a question, you can get me there.
Brilliant.
Or Twitter. I mean, you can message me on Twitter. So.
Excellent. Tom, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. It's been great chatting with you.
Great to talk to you as well. This has been great. And I hope, most importantly, I hope, some of this advice is helpful, and good luck on your career journeys out there for everyone.
Hi, Phil here again. Well, I hope you enjoyed my conversation with today's guest. You can find full show notes on the website at itcareerenergizer.com/e and the number of the episode you've been listening to. If you haven't already subscribed to the show, please make sure that you do so that you get episodes automatically downloaded to your device every Monday. Thanks for listening and have a great week.
Thanks for listening to the IT Career Energizer podcast. To find out more about building a successful career in IT, visit itcareerenergizer.com.